Hello, beautiful souls. I am currently driving, so I did a video earlier and I deleted it because I felt a little rushed, and I didn't feel really good about that because it's such an important message. So I want to redo the message because I have a little more time than I did earlier. And that message is about death and regarding everything that happened in recent days, including yesterday. So we had a woman that was killed on a bus. We have a school shooting that happened yesterday, I believe in Colorado, as well as a murder of a well-known conservative I don't know what the word I'm looking for. He has a podcast and he's very well known. Sorry guys, I'm trying to turn out of the school parking lot and it's utter chaos. So I'm trying to talk and pay attention at the same time. So what I wanted to talk about was twofold. Earlier I started with one aspect and ended with the other, but I think I'm going to flip it. I want to talk about again, let me preface this by saying these are my opinions, my viewpoints, based on observation, personal experience, and spiritual beliefs. Okay? Take it with a grain of salt. You don't have to agree. We can agree to disagree, or you can be open-minded and hear what I have to say. I'm not trying to change people's opinions, but I am trying to open people's hearts and minds. With everything I do, it's to open people up. So what I want to start with is where is all of this hatred coming from? I think we can all agree it's a hate problem. It's not a gun problem. It's not a knife problem. It's not an AK-47, AR-15, all this mumbo jumbo problem. When you look at Cain and Abel, it was a rock. You know what I mean? It was a rock that killed. In this day and age, you know, we have kids being bullied so severely online that they take their life. And that's not a weapon killing them. That's just bullying. So again, it's not a physical weapon issue. It's a heart issue. It's a spiritual issue. When we're looking at things that happen, we have to look at the why if we want to solve the problem. We can't just look at the how. We have to look at the why. Oh, this is so interesting. In my business class I'm taking, we were just talking about the why. It's interesting that popped up. Everything has motivation. Everything has intention. And that is largely shaped by our personal experiences, our personal beliefs. Why is it that in some cultures they think that by strapping a bomb to themselves and going into a busy area and killing innocent people, that's justifiable because when they die, they're a martyr and they're going to go to the other side and have money and virgins. You know what I mean? It's based on their belief. The one thing that humans cannot agree on is what to believe. And that's largely ego-based. Because every time you believe in something, you get something out of it. And that strokes the ego. But there is a universal truth, and that universal truth can be found pretty much across the board in most religions and philosophies and ideologies. And that universal truth is love. Now, I had a personal experience where I met Source. Christians call that God. And in that experience, Source revealed itself to me as love. But not romantic love. Not the kind of love that we've been programmed to see through romantic movies and comedies and, but a universal divine love. It's not dichotomous. And you can see evidence of that love in nature. You can see evidence of that love through the birthing process. You can see evidence of that love when people are being kind and compassionate, when people forgive, when people do something without expecting something in return. There is this love, and it permeates our existence. But we're often so focused on superficial, earthly, and often negative energies and things that we don't see the love. And what we focus our energy on is what we tend to get more of. So, the core issue with all these senseless killings is a perception that there's a lack of love. And through that perception of a lack of love, people are living from ego. They're thinking, speaking, and acting from their woundedness. Some of it is from their own lifetime. Some of it is generational. Like the first example that pops in my head is this victim mentality of black people in the United States that, reparations, we owe people and this and that. And while I have a lot of empathy and sympathy for what black people endured coming to the United States as slaves and being treated as less than human, to say that people now have to pay for that is a victim mentality. And it's an ego-based victim mentality. And I'm just using that example because it's the first thing that popped in my head to kind of illustrate what I'm talking about. Love is our foundational existence. But while we're in human form, we have ego. And ego is here to help us navigate being in this physical form. But until we awaken to the fact that we are first and foremost a divine being, a soul, having a human experience, our ego will not operate from a healthy place. And it will rule us in our thoughts and our actions. And we will not be in alignment with the divine. We'll be living solely through this physical realm, disconnected. The connection is there, it's just not turned on, okay? So all these people that are out here hurting other people, doing horrendous acts, it's a sign of a deeper problem. Some would say mental health, but you have to go deeper than that. Because even mental health issues have a spiritual root. That's why medicine can only stop the symptoms but not cure the disease. The disease is spiritually rooted. However, what we're seeing now in this day and age is an uprising. This is going to be controversial, okay? This is kind of how I see it. Death is a necessary part of the rebirth cycle. Everything in nature, before it can be born or reborn, must go through death. Death is not permanent, it's transformation. When you are on a spiritual journey, and we say you have a death of ego, we don't mean your ego goes away and dies. We mean it transforms. It heals, it evolves, and now it operates from a healthy place to help you navigate the physical world while also navigating the spiritual world. In life, we all must deal with death. But many cultures, especially Western culture, have vilified death as a scary thing that's permanent. And religion has vilified it, saying, if you die and you don't believe what we tell you to believe, you're going to go to a really scary place forever. But if you do what we tell you to do, you'll go to a good place. So we have this fearful idea of what death is. But death is transformation. What I see happening in the world with all this death is that the collective consciousness of humanity is waking up to truth. Not religious truth. Universal, divine truth of love. And you're saying, how can that be if people are killing people? Because what is happening when these people are being killed? Murdered senselessly. Is it's waking people up. People are saying, this is crazy. This is senseless. I've seen in the comment sections that people are starting to understand. I'm going to park for a second. People are starting to understand how senseless it was for a conservative speaker to be shot in public the way he was. These are people that are liberal. They don't like this guy. They don't agree with this guy. But even they are saying that was uncalled for, unnecessary, harsh, terrible. That means people are waking up. Even with the school shootings, even with the killing on the bus, that guy on the bus, I read an article where he was saying himself, I don't understand why they let me out. I know I'm not okay mentally. I know I was hearing things, and I don't know why I killed this woman. That's a spiritually rooted issue. And the reason I know that is because I can relate. I went through something similar. I didn't kill somebody, but I went through a similar process mentally in a very dark period of my life where I had those same thoughts. Just not in regards to killing someone. That's for another time. Death is painful. Transformation is painful, but it has to be in order to bring about change. Think about that. Think about what I just said. Spirit saying, think about someone who's addicted to drugs. No judgment here. But it's hard to get off drugs. You have physical withdrawal symptoms, mental withdrawal symptoms. You have to constantly fight temptation. It's not easy to transform. But there's beauty in that. Because you carry that forward with you and you realize just how strong your spirit is. And that's the divine part of you. So every time as a collective we go through these situations, by the way, I believe it's 9/11. I want you to think about what happened on 9/11 when those atrocities happened, where many, many, many lives were lost. What happened? Other than the obvious people dying, what happened? People came together. They united. They woke up. They started seeing the truth. And it brought people together and made us stronger as a nation, but also humanity. So every time we go through these processes, these atrocities, we can choose to focus on the obvious, horrible part of it, which is the loss of life. Or we can say, you know what, I'm going to grieve, but I'm going to take from this and I'm going to transform that energy. And I'm going to put my focus, time, and energy into what can be learned from this going forward. Because as each of us do that, as we contemplate, as we go deeper, and we choose not to focus on the surface level, but we choose to go deeper, we begin our own healing. We change our thought process. We change the way we speak. There's so much power in words. We change our actions. And as we're doing that individually, it's affecting us collectively. And that's the transformation process of death. Right now, what we are seeing on a global scale is a mass transformation. I think that's why we're seeing so much death right now. It's unfortunate that we have to experience it the way we are, because it's painful as a human to have loss of life. But what we're seeing on a spiritual level is massive transformation, because as each of these things happen, more people are waking up. More people are choosing to heal. More people are choosing love over fear. They're standing up in love instead of fear. And the more we do that, the stronger we get in our spirit, the stronger we are as a community, as a nation, as a world. And that is the transformation that death brings. So, I need to get going, but the purpose of this message, and it is quite different from the original message I brought, but I feel this is what Spirit wanted to say, is during this time of mourning, don't let it just be about the obvious loss of life. That happens every day to people. People are losing their life every day. This is just more public. That's why it's being talked about. But instead of focusing just on that, take time in your own heart to reflect on what this means on a deeper level. Let that permeate into your own soul. Because I guarantee you, if you watch this and it makes one iota of sense to you, you are in that place of transformation yourself. And this is just another stone in the path for you of understanding that there can be beauty in destruction. Thank you, Spirit. I'm gonna end with this. And it's ironic that my partner sent me a video from Reddit last night. It was a pine cone being burned, and it was showing that the seeds in the pine cone or something within the pine cone only releases under intense heat, which is why when there are forest fires, and the pine cones are burned into the ground becomes super fertile, and that allows for new birth, new growth. So the old dying things are destroyed to make way for new fertile growth. Okay? So think about that. Sometimes beautiful things come through the pressure and the heat and the fire of destruction. That rebirth process is painful, but there is beauty that comes from it. So you have a choice right now on what you're going to focus your mind, your thoughts, your heart, your time, your energy on. Are you going to focus on the death part of something no longer being there? Or are you going to focus on what's coming? That's the hope and the beauty that comes from the transformation that comes from death. Does that make sense? So this was a little bit somber message. Again, my heart goes out to all of the families that were affected by all the recent tragedies. It's It's hard to watch, it's hard to see, it's hard to feel. But that's why I'm bringing this message, so that you can understand during your grieving process, however you grieve, that there is something beautiful to come of this that we can focus, we could put our focus on instead of the negative things, okay? Anyways, I'm sorry, I'm going to get a bite to eat before class. So y'all have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.